Welcome to my new series, Dirty History, where I take your requests and I give you the real history about people that you find interesting. Today, suggestion comes from Mr. O from Boston. Mr. O from Boston. Not to be confused with Mr. O with the info. Mr. O from Boston is a channel member and he does support the movement, man. And because of him, this show is sponsored by No Show Organic. Dirty folks. Dirty folks. Dirty folks. No Show. No Show. All right. So, let me tell you all about Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a big fat fraud. He was a big old beast fraud. Everything he did, he was a traitor to natural born America. All right, let me explain to you why. Look, this is dirty history. I'm telling y'all the real, man. Forget about all that other. Let me tell you what it is. He was a fat boy that came from Jamaica. He wasn't even American. He saved this money and he took a boat trip to Britain. So let's follow the timeline. He's from Jamaica. Jamaica is one of those Caribbean provinces that dropped off slaves. Cool. Then he went to Boston. Boston is full. I mean, not Boston. Britain. Britain is full of Africans, like pure Africans. Even to this day, it's a bunch of Nigerians and Ethiopians that hang out in Britain. Britain is a friend to Africans and places where Africans were dropped off during the transatlantic slave trade. You got to remember, though, only 4% of those Africans made it to America. 96% of the quote-unquote black people in America are from America. So he was in Jamaica. He got educated by white people in Britain. Then he decides to go back to Jamaica and be like, let's go back to Africa. Who the hell convinced him to go back to Africa? I don't know. You didn't go to Africa to get educated. You didn't go to Africa to find a wife. You went to Britain to study under white people. Then you went back to Jamaica and said, man, I need to go to America and convince these niggas. So then he got inspired, allegedly. He got inspired by who would be Booker T. Washington, right? But Booker T was about, make your own, build your own, sell your products to America, ingratiate yourself inside America, be American. That was Booker T. Washington's thing. Is that what Marcus Garvey did? No, he did not, gentlemen. Booker T told y'all, hey, y'all broke, let's go back to Africa. Let me tell you how racist he is. And, spoiler alert, he linked up with a grand wizard of the KKK to take y'all back to Africa. Around the same time, America had bought the small country of Liberia in order to send all the black people because they wanted to make America pure and white. They was trying to get rid of niggas. And he was right there with them, hoping the white boys take you off of your birthland. He was right there. He was a traitor to the blacks. All that, I was with Booker T. Washington. He was not trying to have you make a livelihood here. He was trying to get you up out of Dodge. With the Klan. Clicking with the Klan. But let's rewind that because that comes later. So, then Booker T, all he was a fat orator. And he ran a little newspaper. So basically, newspapers, the way that black newspapers go. I don't know where y'all from, but in Chicago, we got stuff like the Southtown Journal and the Chicago Defender and all these little black newspapers, and all they tell you about is what events is popping in the city and tell you how to be a black victim, right? How everybody doing something to you. It's a propaganda piece. Basically, and the same thing could be said because he really moved a lot like A. Philip Randolph. Maybe I'll do a show about A. Philip Randolph later. But all he was a social media influencer. He was an orator, so he'll pass out flyers, try to sell y'all a newspaper, telling you a victim, and then he'll have these grandiose speeches. The only thing Fat Boy really did right is he had a great selection in hats, nigga. He wore the coolest hats. And those hats made people think that he was important because nobody else had a plume and they hat. So since he had a cool hat, people followed Fat Boy. He ended up, amongst other failed businesses, he ended up somehow selling private stocks, which I'm not against, by the way. But he sold private stocks and said, man, check this out. We're going to get our own boats and I'm going to transport y'all coloreds back to Africa. And he had people clapping like, yay, yay. It was supposed to be a commerce ship to sell your goods and services directly to Africa, but it wasn't. It was to send you back to Africa. As a matter of fact, the Black Star ships that he did are technically the only black slave ships ever found in America. And they were going the opposite way. I need y'all to think about that for a minute. All right, so Fat Boy Garvey even if he was going to be successful, which he was not, because eventually they sent him to jail because the flyers that he sent out didn't have the right postage on it, and postage fraud is a Fed case, and they gave him a Fed case, locked him up for 5 years, then extradited him. Let me say that again. Extradited him. One more time.
Extradited him.
Back to Jamaica. You know why Fat Boy Black RBG got extradited? Because he wasn't you. He wasn't American. He wasn't African American. He was a goddamn Jamaican. And I like Jamaica. My frustration is most of the people who leave the colors be Jamaican or Haitian or Nigerian. Y'all don't even listen to your own people for your own freedom. Y'all listen to any fat fuck that comes from another place and be like, I'm black too. Y'all motherfuckers at these crayon games, they do not have your interest. Y'all don't have the same thing. You can't get, if you catch a fraud case right now, you can't get extradited because you're from here. There's nowhere else they can send you. It's not like, oh, they can't send us anywhere because they didn't know where we were from. Nigga, they had shipping logs on every goddamn slave that did make it to America. They knew where the fuck you came from. All the slave plantations had logs on who was in a plantation. You know why? Because they had to insure their slaves because their slaves were property. So you know who you got off the boat. You know who you put insurance on. They know who you are. If they didn't want you here, they would have sent you back. And the 4% of Africans who didn't play the game, they did get sent back. But y'all was already here. But y'all let these fat foreigners come over here and play these crayon games with you and be like, we all black, and they fucking y'all up. He was a fraud. But back to the Black Star. So what ended up happening is somebody who we trusted, a black man, violated my number 2 rule in life, which is not to get deleted by a dude over a toddler, right? And what ended up happening in this case is one of the guys in his crew, the authorities threatened his toddler. So he literally, in order to save, I think it was his mother, in order to save his big mama, so to say mama, he drilled holes in Marcus Garvey's boat, literally. And when the boat started sinking, because they couldn't stay, they couldn't float. They didn't sink like boom, like a, it was small holes, but it couldn't, the holes kept leaking. And since the boat couldn't make it to Africa, they couldn't make the sail, which is probably accidentally the best thing that could have happened to them fools in Harlem that supported them. You done went from Jamaica to Britain, back to Jamaica, to end up in Harlem, to tell Harlem niggas to go to Africa. You ain't even been to Africa. You fucking sham. And the only thing you know about Africa, we'll be safe because a white man, he's helping me get you out the country. The fuck? Marcus Garvey is probably top 5 most overrated, quote unquote, black hero in history. He is in the same vein of W.B. Du Bois. I don't know why they say that he got his scripture from Booker T. Washington, because W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. didn't even like each other, and he moved like W.E.B. Du Bois. The reason that he couldn't be down with W.E.B. Du Bois is because W.E.B. Du Bois, he had this LeBron James in him. He couldn't share the spotlight. So W.E.B. Du Bois was supposed to be the next man up. And it's a whole different story. I might do a show on Booker T. I mean, on WB too. W.E. Du Bois was supposed to be the next man up after Frederick Douglass died. But Frederick Douglass took a liking to Booker T. Washington. Marcus Garvey wanted to be close to Frederick Douglass because Frederick Douglass was the father of the blacks. That was his moniker at the time. So he said he was cool with Booker T, but that nigga moved like W.E.B. But W.E.B. didn't like Booker T or like Garvey because they felt like they cut him in line. He was supposed to be next after Frederick Douglass died. So that was his war. But so now he be like, oh, I ain't like you anyway. I really like Booker T. Washington. No, you didn't, you fat liar. Every fucking thing you said was a lie. Took all them people money, and you did build a ship. I can't say that part was a scam because you did produce the ship. But then you produced the ship just to get them up out of there. That is like the first rap music. That's like going platinum for saying you'll kill your people. Niggas love the shit that's not good for them. They want all the candy, none of the vegetables. But this is the most overrated fat fuck in black history. Goddamn, he ain't even fucking American black. He just a color. Crayon games. A fucking, and I like Jamaicans. I just don't like, look, anyway, that's today's history lesson. Hood history with dirty folks. Man, make sure y'all leave y'all requests for who else y'all want me to tell y'all the real history about and how it relates to you directly. Not with a bunch of fucking historians and that's normally black women or gay black men tell you about historical figures because they want to blame the white man when they fucking up. Anyway, love your brothers as you love yourself. Defeat the pack. Try, bro.